What's up, y'all? Welcome back to Life, Love, and Motherfucking Coffee. I'm your host, DJ, and I'm back this week by myself, right? Okay. So, a couple people hit me up and they're like, Darius, we noticed, your last video and a couple of your videos before, like your show is called Motherfucking Coffee, but where your coffee at? You ain't drinking. So, I got my coffee back this week. I'm gonna drink this week. Refreshing, really good. So this week I'm gonna talk about the pros and cons of being a flight attendant. So I'm pretty new to this. I just started. I graduated flight attendant school May 31st. Actually, that's flight attendant appreciation day. So really new. I think I just celebrated like five months. 5 months because I have my 6-month meeting in a couple weeks. So I'm gonna just go over the pros and the cons and what it's kind of like the lifestyle of a flight attendant for the last 5 months has been for me. So I will say this, being a flight attendant has been, so far, it's been like the best job that I've had, and I really love like the flexibility. I love all the traveling. I love really the self-management. Like I love all the things that come along with being a flight attendant. But there also are some cons that I don't like. So we'll highlight both of them. So, and then I'll talk a little bit about the application process as well. So to start off, here are my pros. So my pros of being a flight attendant. One, of course, the traveling. Like you get to travel wherever. Like I said in my video a couple weeks ago, I haven't really done a lot of international. I work for American Airlines and we fly all over the world basically. But in the flight attendant world or the aviation world, everything is based off seniority. So your first year on the job, you really don't get a ton of like international trips unless you get them like on reserve or you pick them up on our trade-in board. And so the only international trip that I've really got, and I actually picked it up and traded, was Bogota, Colombia. And then I've had a couple Cancuns, I've had a couple Puerto Vallartas, and then a Mexico City. I think those are all the international I've had so far. So, but I have classmates who are based elsewhere, and they've had Londons and Paris, and X, Y, and Z, Narita. Where else have some of them went? Iceland. So it really depends. Like it's really the luck of the draw with the international trips. But the traveling even across the United States has been great because there's places I've been that I'm like I would have never went to this city or I would never went to wherever they sent me, and it was a good time. I enjoyed my time there. So the traveling, and then not only the traveling when it comes to working, the traveling that your family gets. So my mom, she gets to travel for free. Basically, her tickets are pretty cheap. If you have kids, they get to travel. You have a companion pass. So if you have a spouse, boyfriend, girlfriend, they get to travel for free as well. And then even when it comes to traveling like international, so we just pay the taxes and like the fees that the airport charges for international. We pay the fees at the airport that you're going to charge us for the airline to land. And so I had bought a ticket to go to Amsterdam. I ended up not going because I picked up a trip. But my ticket to Amsterdam round trip was going to be $90. But let me remind you that this traveling is non-rev, which means that you go at the bottom of all paid passengers. So we are non-revenue passengers, which means that every passenger that has bought a ticket, they have a guaranteed seat, and then we have a what if seat. So it's still great though. Like the traveling's great. I've been home way more than I have ever been. I've been back to Kansas City. I've been to DC. Like I've traveled a couple places like throughout US. I haven't traveled for fun outside of the United States yet. And then on top of that with the traveling, not only do I get to travel on American Airlines, but we also have agreements with other carriers. So I can travel on Delta, United, Southwest, Spirit, Frontier. Like we have agreements with all these airlines where we can travel and utilize their airlines to travel and vice versa. They can utilize our airlines to travel. So number one, best thing, traveling. Number two, the flexibility. So as a new hire, I'm straight reserve for a year. And so what that means is that I am like good to the company. So I'm good to the company. We have 12 days off a month, and then the rest of the days you're good to the company. But like my schedule is flexible. I've never had this many days off. I've never been able to and even on reserve, if I get assigned a trip, I can drop that trip or I can put it up on ETB and someone can pick it up. And so the flexibility is amazing. And it's not like I'm not going to work 9 to 5 Monday through Friday. I'm going to work, so for example, I'm good. So say I'm good for the company for 4 days. Then 4 days could be Wednesday through Sunday, or they can be whatever. So like the flexibility is amazing. I love it. And I guess number 3 would be like the self-management. I've seen my manager like 4 or 5 times, and 3 of those times were for our meetings. Like we had a 30-day meeting. Yes, I think we had like a 30-day, 90-day, and a 6-month, and then our first day. So it's very self-management. Like when I get to the airport, I sign in on my phone. You don't really see the managers on the flights. Like you really have to manage yourself. When I'm traveling and I'm at a hotel, if my van time is 5 o'clock, I know I have to wake up at 4 o'clock to get downstairs to that van by 5 o'clock. There's really no management there, and I love it. Because in the past, I've had great managers, but then I've also had managers who are horrible. I've had managers who were very micromanagey. And so to be able to really self-manage myself, it's a blessing. Like I love it right now. I would say number 4. So number 4 would be your days are so different. So I think the thing about like a 9 to 5 is that you go to work and it's very routine. You kind of do the same thing over and over and over again. But with my job, every day is a different day. Like I might have a trip and I might have one leg or one flight to my destination where I'm laying over at, and then the next day I might have 3 legs, or I might have 2 days or 2 legs, and then like every flight you get a different group of people. Every trip I have, you get a different crew, so you're constantly meeting new people. Like I've only flown with the same people a couple times. That's because we're really close in seniority, so we get like the same trips off reserve. But besides that, I'm never flying with the same crew, which is really nice because you can. So say you're at a 9 to 5, right? And Ashley sits next to you, and you can't stand Ashley, but guess what? Every day, you got to see Ashley. Every day you see her. You clock in at 9, you leave at 5, and you see Ashley all those hours. The nice thing about my job is if I fly a trip with Ashley and I can't stand Ashley, I most likely would never see her again. And then if I get a trip, like I get assigned a trip and Ashley's on that trip and I know like, I'm not trying to work with her, I can just stay back in the back of the plane or whatever. Like I don't really have to interact with her. Whereas on a normal 9 to 5, you kind of are forced to interact with your coworkers that you might not like. But with this job, you might not see your coworkers often, which I love. And then number 5 would be, I remember when I was in training, our trainer told us that you can't be late to this job because if you're late, your office is in the sky. And just like the views that we see, like I feel like I have the best office views, hands down. Like we fly over the mountains, we fly over the sea, we fly over the cities. Like you see the views are beautiful and you see multiple views a day. So that's one thing that I do love about my job. And I think the last thing, which is really important, because people always ask me like, oh, you want to be a flight attendant? Like, you want to do that forever? Like, what do you want to do? But I think the opportunity for growth in the company. So yeah, I want to be a flight attendant, but then also if I want to do a special assignment and work in recruitment, I can apply and work in recruitment and still be a flight attendant. I can either like work in recruitment full time, or I can apply and work in recruitment half of the year or whatever. Or if I want to work in the training department and I want to train new hires or do reoccurring training, which reoccurring is when flight attendants have to go every year to get retrained on, whatever plane that we're flying, aircraft that we're flying. And so I can apply for training and work with that. If I want to be a manager, I can apply and be a flight service manager. Like there's so many opportunities that you can do within a company. And American is a huge company. I think they have like 120,000 employees or something like that. So there's so many. The growth is nice. And I think a lot of times people are like, oh, you're a flight attendant, like that's where the growth stops, but it doesn't. You can move up, you can move around. And as long as I stay in flight service, as long as you stay in flight service, you keep your seniority. And one thing you'll learn while working in aviation is that seniority is key. Like seniority is so important. because seniority, people with higher seniorities, they get the Londons and the Paris and the Naritas. They get all those good trips because they've put in their 20 years, 30 years, 40 years, whatever. And so that's one of the things that is great. So seniority, key, really important. So those are kind of like my pros on the job. So let's talk about the cons. But let me take a sip first. So the cons. The first con is, as a new hire, you're on reserve. Reserve means, like I said earlier, is that you're good to the company for a certain amount of days. You have to bid every day. So you bid for a wrap, which a wrap is a 12-hour standby. So for example, like tomorrow I have a 12-hour standby. So I'm on standby from our 12-hour on-call shift. So I'm on call from 6 a.m. to 6 p.m. So within that time, those 12 hours, I can get a call from crew scheduling that says, Flight Attendant Jackson, we need you here. Here's your flight. And we have 2-hour call outs. And then, so most of the time my bag stays packed because I never know if they're going to call me or not. So that's one of the things that kind of sucks. So you have your 12-hour call outs, and then you have your standby. So today I set standby at the airport for 6 hours, which means I just chilled in the crew room for 6 hours and just waited around to see if they were going to call me to assign me to a trip or call me and have me pre-board a flight. Pre-board just means that I assist with boarding, and then the flight attendant who's assigned to that trip, they actually come and take the flight out or take the trip. And so the one thing that sucks about like reserve life is that you know your days off, but you don't know when you're gonna fly. You really, all you know is that you're good to the company during this time and they're gonna use you, they might not use you. And then another thing that sucks about reserve is that even on my days off, because we do get like a guarantee, so we get 75 hours guaranteed pay regardless if we work it or not, but 75 hours is not a lot of money for a month. And so even on my days off, I pick up. So yeah, the company gives me 12 days off, but out of those 12 days, most times, like out of the 6 days, I pick up a trip. So I'm really only getting like 6 days off a month or 7 days off. Really depends on how I pick up. Like for the month of November, I picked up two days and a turn. So that means I picked up 5 days. So that I lost 5 days off. So now I only have really 7 days off. And then within them 7 days, I have to be like, okay, well, I'm going to go home for a couple days and I'm going to go here for a couple days. So you have to kind of work with the schedule. I mean, it's doable, but reserve life is one of the cons of being a flight attendant. So I talked about this last week, right? The lower pay. So I definitely took a pay cut for this position. But I remember on my first video, I had mentioned that like, yeah, I took a pay cut, but my peace of mind is more important to me than any paycheck that I have. And so I took a pay cut. So that is a con, but I enjoy what I do now. So it pays off. You have to look at, like what I got from, taking a lower pay. And then I will say though, after like the nice thing about being a flight attendant is the pay does get better. Like after, 5 years, you get a pretty high raise, and after, the pay does go up. I know some senior flight attendants who are making 6 figures. I know flight attendants who have been working for 5-6 years who make 6 figures. Yes, they work a lot, but they're making pretty good money. Being away from home. So I live in Dallas. I pay rent in Dallas, but I'm not home a lot. So it's one of the things that sucks is like I'm home, or I pay for a place to live, but I'm not home. I'm always gone. I'm in different hotels, and it gets lonely sometimes. Like you go to these cities, you're in these hotels, and like there's times I don't want to just sit in the hotel room, that's boring. So then I want to get out, but then sometimes I'm like, do I really want to get out and just wander around the city by myself? It's amazing when you have a good crew. So when you have a good crew, being away from home is not bad because you kick it with your crew. Like I've literally had fun with my crew. We went to Mall of America one time. I had a Minnesota layover, Minneapolis, St. Paul layover, MSP. And my crew was really cool, really junior crew. So we all went to happy hour, had drinks, and we went over to Mall of America, and we just went out to eat. Like it was a really fun time. So it really depends on how your crews are, and that kind of can make that being away from home, doable. working holidays and weekends. So people always ask me like, hey, you're coming in town or you coming on the weekends? I can't hold weekends. I'm junior at DFW, which is senior, extremely senior. I don't get weekends off. So no, I'm not gonna come home on a weekend. I'm not gonna go anywhere on a weekend because I can't hold weekends off. Two, I can't hold holidays off. So people are like, hey, are you coming home for Thanksgiving or you coming home for Christmas? No, I'll be working. Can't hold it off. So having to work weekends where like most of my friends work 9 to 5 Monday through Fridays, but Monday through Fridays are where I'm mostly off. And then on the weekends, my friends want to hang out and kick it, but I'm working. So that's one of the things that kind of suck. I would say too, missing important family events. So my mom had a birthday party in September, and all my family was there. They all kicked it. I wasn't able to go because I couldn't get the day off. I bid the day off. I tried to get off, but of course it was a Saturday. I can't hold Saturdays. So I wasn't able to go to the event because I didn't have the day off. I missed like I had missed 2 weddings this year. So 2 of my really good friends got married, one in Philly and one in Kansas City. I wasn't able to go to their wedding because their weddings were on days that I couldn't hold off. I tried to get them off, but I wasn't able to. And so I missed some really important dates because of my job. And then the long days and the long hours. So sometimes, I'll sign in at 6 o'clock in the morning, 5 o'clock in the morning, and I'm not getting home. I'm not getting to the hotel until 9, 10 o'clock at night. So you're like always on the go. Your days are long as heck. And then on top of that, we have sit time. So say I have 3 legs, and so I fly from Dallas to Phoenix, and then I fly back from Phoenix to Dallas, and then I have a 3-hour sit, which means I just sit at the airport for 3 hours until my next flight that is going from Dallas to Miami, and I'm laying over in Miami. So you really have to, your days last forever. And then that's what sucks sometimes is like, then you get to the hotel and you're like, oh, I want to go out and enjoy, but at the same time, I also want to sleep because I'm tired. So what happens a lot of times is I get home from a trip and I just crash for hours because I'm so tired, because during that 3-day trip or 2-day trip or 4-day trip, I wasn't getting enough rest because I was always on the go. I would say one of the other things too is time zone. So I just got off a trip, and so like I stated, I live in Dallas, right? So we're in Central Time Zone. And then I was in Detroit, which is, I believe, Eastern Time Zone. So then I was an hour ahead. And then I flew to Phoenix, which is in Mountain Time Zone, I believe. It's either Mountain or West Coast. I think it's Mountain. I don't know. But then I'm like 2 hours. So maybe it's, maybe Phoenix. I don't know. So then I'm 2 hours behind Dallas time. And then I fly back to Dallas and I'm back on Dallas time. So like your time zones are crazy. Your days, I don't know my days of the week. People are like, oh no, today is Wednesday or today's Thursday. I don't know what day it is. Like my days of the week are kind of all over because I'm in different time zones. I'm just flying all over the place. So you kind of like lose track of time. You don't know what's going on. And then I would say one thing that sucks too is that one of the cons is that when a normal job, if you're sick, I can call my boss, like, hey, I'm not feeling good today. I can't come to work. As a flight attendant, I can't do that. So one, because I'm on probation, and so on probation, you can't really like take a lot of sick time. You can't really take days off because you get points. So we get points if we're sick. And so a lot of flight attendants still go to work even though they don't feel good. Like I have allergy issues, and like sometimes I get really congested, and it's horrible to fly when you're congested. So what I have to do is I just pop Sudafed, I just pop decongestive, and just help that it clears me all up so I'm able to fly, and that I feel better. And I think one of the things that makes it worse is we're not getting enough sleep. So if I'm sick and I'm not sleeping, I'm not gonna get better. But that's, the joys of being a flight attendant. You gotta go even when you don't feel well. So those are kind of like my pros and cons of the job. But I will say overall, I love what I do. I think I talked about this a little bit before, but like even the interview process was fun. I enjoyed it. I personally applied to the top. So like in aviation industry for America, you have like the big 3, which you have United, Delta, and American. And so when I applied to the big 3, and I did like the interviews for all 3. I got the video interviews for all 3, and I just picked American. And so you, if you're interested in being a flight attendant, which I believe all, so I know Delta's hiring, I know we're hiring, American's hiring, I believe United's hiring. And so if you're interested in like being a flight attendant, apply, do it. It's fun. I will say this, one thing that I wish I would have knew about being a flight attendant before I went and got my master's, maybe before I went to college. No, I'm playing, but because you don't need a college degree to do this. You can do this with a high school diploma. Now I'm blessed because I do have my degree, so I have something to fall back on. But at the end of the day, you don't need it to be a flight attendant. And so if I would have knew about this career path a while back, then even after I finished my undergrad degree, I would have maybe tried to apply and became a flight attendant. Or after college, I might have went to college for, community college, got me a little associate degree, not a little, got an associate degree, and then applied to be a flight attendant. So if you're young and or people who, would be great, have great customer service skills, like working with people, like traveling, encourage them to go down that path to be a flight attendant or a pilot, because it's possible. You can do it. So that's this was a very short episode because I just want to, people keep asking me like, how do you like being a flight attendant? Is it worth it? Do you miss your job? Do you miss education? Do you think you ever go back? As of right now, I don't know if I would go back to education. I'm content in what I do. I love what I do. And I don't know if I can go back to a 9-to-5. So we'll see. So yes, I love what I do. And so I just wanted to have a little episode about the pros and cons of being a flight attendant, the good, the bad, the ugly. And if you have any questions about being a flight attendant, I have a fraternity brother who just finished training with the company, and when he was going through the application process, he's hitting me up and asking me stuff and asked me to be a reference for him and stuff like that. I'm all, if I know you, whatever, I'll give you a reference, encourage you to do it because it's been a joy so far. I love what I do. I love the job. What I will say now is that I want to thank y'all for all the support, the love that y'all have shown me. I think this is episode 6. And so I kind of went on the limb. I was like, I want to do this show. I think this will be fun. But the support that I've gotten since starting the show and posting it has been amazing. And so I want to thank everyone who has subscribed to the YouTube channel, who has followed me on Instagram, both my personal page and the vlog page. I definitely agree. I'm definitely thankful for that. There will be some working on a website and some stuff too. So there's some things that are in the works that will be coming soon. But the love and support that I have received from everyone is amazing. So shout out to y'all the real ones. I definitely appreciate that. As always, I want y'all to comment, and subscribe to the video. Follow, so you can, the YouTube channel, subscribe. It's Life, Love, and MF Motherfucking Coffee is the YouTube channel. Definitely follow the page on IG. That is LL_MFC. So that's where you'll find it on IG. My personal IG is Fly with a P, so PHLY guy_DJ06. And yeah, follow, comment. I hopefully there's some good information for anyone who's interested in the aviation world. I do know if you want to be a pilot, there's a lot of companies that actually will pay for people to go through pilot training. One last thing, cons. All right, so I didn't think about this. So a con was that training to be a flight attendant was tough. And I think a lot of times people are like, that training can't be that hard. I remember I was talking to my friends and they're like, Darius, you're tripping. Training can't be that hard. No. Training was rough. It was hard. We took a lot of tests. You had to pass all your tests at 90%. You can fail up to 2 tests. If you fail your 3rd test, and you're kicked out. And I think what made training hard is that you give up everything. You quit your job. You move from your apartment, whatever. You give up your life for a what if, because you don't have a job when you start training. You don't work for American. You don't work for whatever company you're going through. You only get a job once you complete that training. And so if I didn't complete the training, then I would be back to wherever trying to find a job because I would be jobless. And so that's, I think, what made it so hard is that you're going through all this training for what if. And a lot of the training it's all safety related, medical related, like terrorist related, to make sure like if there's ever a terrorist attack on the plane, like how do we respond? If there's an emergency, medical emergency on the plane, if the plane is going down, how do we get people off and evacuate? Jump and slide. Funny, it's not funny, but yeah. So like just training was difficult. So don't ever when you're on a flight, and I think a lot of people think like, oh, you're a flight attendant, all you do is serve. We don't get trained on service. They assume that we know how to serve people. What we get trained on is safety, because while you're on that flight, we're one of the few people that can help you or save you. And so that's one of the things I think is really important. Is training is hard. It's not easy. So that would be a con. Yes. The pro is that they train you really well to be prepared. But the con is that training is long and hard and unpaid at American. But overall, the job is great. So I wouldn't change it for the world. So that's this episode. I hope you all enjoyed. Take care. See y'all again next week. Okay, cool. Thanks. I'll just wait till you shut your door. What's up, y'all? Welcome back to Life, Love, and Motherfucking Coffee. I did not. Woo! Okay.